Hey everybody, I'm Mel Doerr, the Aloha Shirt Psychic, and normally it's Aloha Tuesday, but now we're on Aloha Thursday. I've got Psychic Arthur in the house, and the reason is because Tuesday I had to go to a board meeting, BORED. Never be a president of a townhouse board, which I am. Don't do it. Take my advice. The meeting went longer than planned, shocker. And then Wednesday we were going to do it, but internet issues and gremlins and all kinds of stuff. So here we are.
You
And we'll,
fed the gremlins after midnight, you bad boy.
and we'll be back to regular schedule on Tuesday, where we're going to start going live on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
From
Oh,
there you go.
clutch your
Okay.
pearls.
So Arthur, and Arthur's
Yes.
going to be with us, little housekeeping. If you're interested in our Chicago event in September, call my office 847-590-5411 or email me www.meldorr.com. You can use that same information to make an appointment. And Arthur's going to be our MC. So before the show, we were just talking about getting his airline tickets and stuff like that. So it's going to be really amazing. So Arthur, if they want to get a hold of you, how do they do it?
Well, they can find me on YouTube at Arthur Ease Your Mind or online at www.arthureaseyourmind.com. If they want to call, it's 310-494-5955.
There's that computer voice. I love
Try.
it. All righty. So let's just cut to the chase. We've got a lot of questions that I think we can answer in an hour. What do you think?
Yeah, and these are questions from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we're gonna try and get all through them all.
One I want to touch on real quick. Um, Williams, sometimes you can't see their first names on here. They're asking about the 15-year-old autistic Sebastian Rogers. Will he be found? He's been missing from Henderson, Tennessee since February 26th. Okay, as an intuitive and psychic who has worked on a lot of missing people and murder cases, I don't go public and give predictions about cases um, because I think it's probably a bit intrusive to the family. If the family calls me, and what I would always do in these cases and still do, if the family calls me, if they tell the police about what I've said, and the police then talk to me or pull me in, then I won't have anything to do with the family, because a lot of times a family member can be a person of interest. Not that they are in this case. All right. The other things I would take cases on is that there's no charge and that I don't go to the media or go public with it. So I'm really strong about respecting the privacy of families and things like that. I will say this much, he will be found, and I'll leave it at that, a lot sooner than later. So I'm not being mean about not answering your question. I just prefer not to for reasons of confidentiality and things like that.
Well, it's just not appropriate for you to answer at this point. That's all.
Um,
And for
well,
reason.
it's a good question, but I just
Mhm.
prefer not to. Okay, so now we got another one. Jitterbug Tutu. You know what? Every time, and I've said this a million times, I just love that name. Okay. Hello, Auntie Mel, and awesome Arthur. May is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. That's hard to say. Okay. There will be parades on 6th Avenue from 54th Street to 45th Street, New York City, approximate route. Where there'll be any terrorist action was predicted for New York City during these parades, especially on May 19th. I'm in that parade. Thank you for these collabs. You're both amazing. Jitterbug Tutu, I see you being safe. I don't see any terrorist activity on the date or those dates. I do think we will see some terrorist activity in the country. And a couple of big terrorist plans that'll be thwarted. They'll be found out by the FBI, CIA, and Homeland Security. It's unfortunate that terrorism happens, but I think it'll just coalesce everybody um, even more to be for President Biden. But I don't see you hurt or injured. And I'm so proud that you're marching in the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. You know, the South Pacific is near and dear to my heart. So what do you think, Arthur?
I think she'll be fine. I'm not seeing any terrorist attacks at all. Also, I do feel after the fact, we might find out that one or two may have been thwarted, but that's after the fact. They will be on top of everything, but I don't see anybody being injured, hurt, or harmed.
I don't either.
Good.
Okay, Lisa said she was just recently diagnosed with MS, and I'm not a doctor, and she's asking about a cure or for finally getting to a better place. I don't know if there's a cure, but I see a lot more effective treatment modalities coming, specifically with monoclonal antibodies, and maybe giving yourself an injection every week to 2 weeks. And I don't know if it's on the market yet, but it will be. And it's not going to cure the disease, but it'll certainly keep it at bay. I don't know a lot about MS, but I know it can affect mood. It can make you depressed.
Mhm.
And it's certainly depressing to have any kind of disease, but I don't think it's going to be as incapacitating for you as you're anticipating it to be. Um, and I think if people in your family are, you know, for political reasons that don't believe the same way you do, you want to keep stress at bay because that can exacerbate symptoms of MS, and just tell them that right now you demand and your health demands that you just don't talk about politics with them. And spirit tells me you're going to hold your own ground and you're going to do very well with it. And at some point, help other people who have newly been diagnosed with MS. I'm sorry you're going through this, but I still see you staying active and alert. What do you think, Arthur?
I agree. Um, I have family members that were diagnosed with MS and also myasthenia gravis. That was years and years ago. If they had been around today, there'd been a lot of different ways to, not necessarily cure it, but to work with it. And I still see that that's an ongoing thing and process. And I feel over the next 4 or 5 years, I do feel a lot of medicine is going to, they're looking at things differently, and I really feel the approach will be a lot different and it'll be helpful. So, but I do feel as far as Lisa's concerned, I feel things can ease up around her in a number of years. I feel there's more things coming out.
Okay, I can't pronounce this name. Ryan Willow Thoreau, I think. Willow Thoreau, not Willow Thoreau. Okay. Hello. Does Jennifer McCormick have a chance of winning the governor's race in Indiana? Thank you. What do you think?
I'm a little tossed on this one because at one point she was a Republican. Now she's running as a Democrat. However, I don't think she's really campaigning as much as she should be doing. So it's a toss up for me. Unfortunately, I do feel like what's his name, Baum, I think it is, who's running for governor uh, as Republican. I think he may get it because unfortunately, Indiana is a very, very red state.
Well, my
Yeah.
feeling is if she goes out and knocks on doors, she could get it, but she's going to have to. My light's out. My light is acting crazy here. If she goes out and knocks on doors, my feeling is that she's got a chance of winning, but she's going to have to campaign a lot harder, a lot harder.
Mhm.
I'm feeling disappointment with it for her, but that's in her hands. She really has to
Right.
campaign.
I would like to see her win, of course, but we'll see. I feel eventually Indiana will go purple.
So do I. I see that as well. I just wonder how, not that it matters, how Democrat she really is. I think she's more of an old order Republican, which would be better than a MAGA, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do see the MAGA movement at some point ending. Okay, I'm going to ask this one, then I'll let you ask them, okay?
Okay.
All right. Will Clarence Thomas be removed from the Supreme Court? The only way that they can remove him would be to impeach him. Now, impeach just means to bring to trial. I think the House does the articles of impeachment, then it goes to the Senate, and the Senate brings him to trial, and then the Senate decides, and I think it has to be like a 60% vote, I think. I forget how many it has to
I
be.
think so.
And my guides have told me that there's going to be two Supreme Court justices impeached because of this whole thing with the immunity. Because my guides told me that, some of Trump's lawyers talked to these justices, at least three of them, even before they heard the case. And there's going to be some law clerks that are going to come out and say that. So because of that, it's, I guess, grounds for impeachment, I would think. So I see two being impeached. I think as a result, one will resign, and I see the other one gone as well. So the only way they can remove him is to impeach him and found guilty. But I do see him off the court a lot sooner than later. Now, this is all for entertainment purposes only. What do you
Nice.
think, Arthur?
Well, for the last 2 years, I've been predicting, I thought it was going to be last October, but I do still believe it's this October that Clarence Thomas steps down. I feel they may say it's because of health reasons, to put on the books, but I feel it's a lot of the other stuff that's going to be hitting the fan behind the scenes and other stuff that's going to be hitting his family with his wife and other things. So I believe he's going to step down. Then I do believe the whole makeup of the court is definitely changing. In fact, AOC is trying to, get a thing going
Now,
to
what
have
is AOC?
what's her name? The Cortez, in New York, what's her name? She's a House member. I'm sorry. I'm having a senior moment.
AOC?
It's a person. It's AOC. Cortez.
Oh,
It,
okay. Yep, yep, yep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's okay. We're both having a senior moment at the same time.
I just don't. Sometimes if they use the little abbreviations, my mind doesn't click and I don't get them.
Oh, I'm using it. I forget her name. That's why I'm using it. But
Okay.
sorry, people. But no, I really feel that the makeup of the court is going to change. In fact, there is a question here from your alter ego, Odd Girl Scout, that says, Aloha, Auntie Mel, and Awesome Arthur. I've been wondering about the future makeup of the Supreme Court. Will there ever be a trans person on the court? Do you have any hits and possible nominees? And she lists a bunch of names. Thank you.
I
Well,
see a gay person on the court. I don't know about
I think
trans.
there already have been gay people on the court. They just know it.
Well, now there's going to be gay people outwardly gay on the court.
Yeah.
Um, and I do see term limits for the Supreme Court, and I do see legislation passed that they can't take these gifts, which are really payoffs for a lot of people to get laws passed that they want. And and I don't know how they would pass legislation, but to say that this tribalism has got to end, whether they're Democrat or Republican.
Right.
Politics shouldn't come into play. It should be really based on the merits and argument of the case.
But
And
there's already a bill in the works to add 4 more Supreme Court justices. If they
well,
just started it.
I
And
see,
I've always said in 5 years, we're going to have 13 because we have 13 courts. We have to have 13 Supreme Court justices to oversee each court.
I see the court coming back to center.
Mhm.
Uh, and I see Roe v. Wade at some point upheld,
Mhm.
and I see gay marriage codified. I think Alito's already, one of the justices is
It
already,
already is. It already is codified.
one of the justices is already talking about picking on gay marriage and they should reconsider it, and they better leave it alone
That was Clarence Thomas.
because no, it was another one too. So what happens to those of us who are married? Are we not married? I mean, I don't know, but
Well, that's what happened in California when people were married and then they put Prop 8 through, and the way it was worded, yes meant no, no meant yes, and it screwed everything up. So for a while, there were gay couples that were married, but nobody else was able to get married. And so then it all switched over. It was confusing for a lot of people.
marry us, once we're married legally. So they're not going to be successful. But chipping away at women's rights. Now they're chipping away at gay rights and
And trans rights.
trans rights. And I see, with a different court, a lot of that changing. Don't even get me started on what SCOTUS did with this immunity thing. We'll be here all day. But anyway, it's limited immunity. They'll remand it back down to the lower court. And the reason they'll do that is because then, Judge Chutkan will have to hear all these arguments again, what's presidential, what's not. Then Trump will appeal it. It'll go to the Supreme Court. They don't meet again until October. It'll take them 2 or 3 months to make a decision, and that's going to be after the election. And Trump thinks he's going to win, and he won't. Period.
And as
All
I've
that
always
in
said,
one paragraph.
and as I've always said, you have to be alive to be a president.
Ooh.
Entertainment purposes only.
Okay, I'll take that. All right.
Well, here, I mean, I have to, one question from Nancy was, Aloha, Mel, and Arthur, what do you see the 45th doing after he loses the election? Does he have a plan of some kind? I said scratching his way out of the coffin. I'm sorry.
That one. I do think he needs to watch his health. I really do. And I don't wish him harm. I really don't wish anybody harm. But I do think he needs to watch his health. I don't think he's taking care of it. I mean, I see him when he walks out of court, and I didn't see anything on TV today because I was just really busy and our internet was out and all kinds of stuff. But he looks really bad. I mean,
Almost jaundice.
He does. His color doesn't look good. He looks tired. He looks drawn. All righty. This is a good one. Spirits JD says, hello, Arthur and Mel. Will the youth, in spite of all the protests going on in these universities, turn out and vote for Biden? The answer is yes. A lot can happen between now and the election. Or do you see this being a problem and concern during the election? I don't see it that way. I see even the Israeli people, many of them in Israel, protesting against Netanyahu. I'm pro-Israel. I don't like Netanyahu. He's their version of Trump. And he's going to be held for war crimes because of what he's doing now in the Gaza Strip. Mm-hmm. Hamas, what they did was horrible. We know it was backed by Iran and by Russia. But okay, he's taken out Hamas now. And now it's time to say, okay, leave the innocent people alone.
Exactly. Well, I mean, they cleared out UCLA this morning in the middle, like around 3 a.m. And they're finding out that a lot of the people they were talking they're moving, they weren't students. They're instigators.
Right.
And I do feel there's a lot of propaganda out there from our Mr. Putin and others that are just egging this on. I would be surprised if Steve Bannon isn't part of it as well.
And you're right, a lot of this has started to make it look for President Biden to take votes away from him, but it will not work.
Correct.
I mean, they have to decide whether they, I think what they're trying to do is just get them not to vote, but you have to decide, okay, if you don't vote, then who is that a vote for? And do they really want to live in a world where, a president that wouldn't do anything to Putin, let Putin do what Putin wants, and somebody who says that they want to be an authoritarian in this country? I don't think they'd like that very much.
No, I don't think so either.
Anyway. All righty. Okay. Aloha, Arthur and Mel. This is a good one. Do you see Hunter Biden taking that certain news network to court? Or will that certain network acquiesce and comply with the stipulation that Hunter's lawyers put forth in their letter? I know the answer already, but go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
Too much, too little, too late. He's suing. He's going to win. Then he goes after Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Bingo. And I see a lot more lawsuits coming against that network, and we're talking huge sums of money.
Right.
Try to drag out, and they'll want to make an out-of-court settlement. And at some point, I don't know if it's Hunter Biden, other people are going to go, no, you have to pay us. And they're going to say they don't have the money and try some legal loopholes. And the courts are going to say, nope, you got to pay.
Well, just give him Sean Hannity's paycheck. That's all.
Well, it's going to cost them a lot more than Sean Hannity's paycheck.
Oh, I know, but part of it.
All right, go ahead. Your turn, Arthur.
Let's see here. From Angelic Alchemy. I love her name.
I like that.
Aloha Dynamic Duo. Has Christy No's political future been destroyed by her book detailing how she dealt with her 14-month-old dog? As an animal lover, I am appalled and hope that karma pays her a visit. Love and blessings.
Well, bless your heart. Not her, the one that asked the question. Bless your heart to know him. We know what that means in the South, where I come from. It
I thought it
means,
was bless your pea picking heart.
well, no, that's Tennessee Ernie Ford.
Yeah.
Um, Number one, the dog she had is a high prey driven dog. And it sounds to me like the dog had not been trained at all. I'm a dog trainer, and it's my passion. And the fact that uh, she, says she took the dog on a hunt and then it got to the neighbor's chickens. It made it sound like she was right there. Well, then why the hell didn't you stop the dog when it was attacking the chicken? And then she said she did, and the dog tried to bite her. Well, it depends on what she was doing to the dog. I mean, I think she was being mean to the dog. And if you're mean with a dog, it's going to try to defend itself. Uh, and then she killed a goat because it was smelly and old, and she said it had buttered her kids. Well, goats do that. And then put down 3 horses because they were old. Here's what I see. And then she tried to normalize it by
Right.
saying, oh, it's life on a farm and life is harsh. But I can make hard decisions like that. And as a politician, I
Yeah.
make hard decisions. Excuse me, I don't see how killing an innocent dog by shooting it in the face with a shotgun is comparable to making responsible decisions as a politician, because her decision to kill the dog was totally cruel and irresponsible. So here's what I'm telling people. Find out how much the book cost. Don't buy it, boycott it, and take that money and donate it to the American Humane Society.
Mhm.
Or take a collection and take a front page ad in one of the papers in her state and say, this woman is an animal killer. Her political, for her to try to normalize that sort of behavior is just so sociopathic. It's just cruel.
Mhm.
And she's going to have to pay the piper for that in a lot of ways. So my guides tell me she's
Yeah.
karmically she's a hot one.
She shot herself in the foot.
She's
Um,
did.
I'm just glad she's not in charge of any like nursing homes or anything like that.
Feel sorry for her kids if she got mad at them.
Well, maybe she called Loan Bobart what to do.
Yeah, right. All righty. Go ahead, Arthur. Your
Here's
turn.
one from Sue Smith. When the West 4B movement in Korea reaches the US, will it impact women's rights big time? This is brilliant. Actually, what it's a feminist movement started in 2019 where it's like we're not getting men, we're not having children, we're just living our lives. I see I don't see it going to the extreme like that, but I mean it's an interesting concept, but I really feel women here have a little thing called Roe v. Wade that is going to mobilize them more so than West 4B movement does.
Well, but I think they'll take pieces of that.
Yeah,
It's going to be a huge increase in the feminist movement here. And women saying, you know what? You want us to get pregnant and have kids, and then we can't control our own bodies. We're not going to get pregnant. Guess what? Um, what are you going to do, guys? You know? So we ain't seen nothing yet with the feminist movement. It's going to grow exponentially all
hmm
over the world. My guides keep telling me with Trump, the women will bring him down. And that's what's going on. Women are hopping mad in these states like Arizona and reinstated a law from 1860s. Give me a break.
before it was even a state, before women had the right to vote.
Exactly. They want to take us back. I mean, there's some politicians who don't even want women to vote.
I
I mean,
know.
like what? And it just gets more ridiculous and ridiculous. And when they make
And these are the people that want to teach in school.
statements like that, they're so outlandish. But like Trump, or the MAGAs, they keep making those same sorts of statements. And if you hear it enough, it seems almost normalized, even though it's not. And then they end up scoring one little point and then another point and another point until it becomes a big score. We cannot normalize abnormal behavior and statements like that. We can't.
Right. Exactly. And it goes back to everything that the Orange Menace says, trying to normalize everything he does. You know, it's nuts.
Right.
But here's a good question from Mary Williamson. Does the Ark of the Covenant really exist still, as described in the Bible, somewhere on this earth?
I don't believe so.
I think it's in Steven Spielberg's garage.
I think the Ark of the Covenant has been Hollywoodized to have these mystical, magical things.
Sure.
Right. And so I don't see it. I mean, it's a great romance story, meaning, wow, and a great adventure story. And now please, everybody, don't give me emails and text about the
Right.
Ark of the Covenant. I don't want to go down that road.
Well,
But
I've already said I
but
know.
I think if we just pay attention to what the Ten Commandments tell us,
Yes.
it will be a much, much nicer world.
Yes. Your turn.
I'll leave it at that. Um, Ellen Z says, I had a terrible car accident years ago, hit by a huge truck. I was stopped at a stop sign. Truck was going 55 miles per hour. I was in a Honda Civic. My car was airlifted across 4 lanes. Wow. While in air, I heard in my right ear a calm, deep male voice say, okay, when you hit the ground, turn your wheel to the left so you don't hit the pole. It was a telephone pole. I listened. The fire department said I missed the pole by 7 inches. My foot was broken and 3 discs, but I'm alive and healed well. Who was the man who spoke to me? Thank you. That man was a spirit guide or a guardian angel. I use the terms interchangeably.
I was going to say, I kept on getting Michael around her.
Well, that's what I picked up too. So Archangel Michael. So, all right, go ahead.
Let's see. A lot of the questions are repeating, so that's why I keep on reading over and over. Um,
I've got one while you're thinking. Sue Todd says, if for some reason 45 can't run in the general election this year, who will the Republican candidate be? I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. Uh,
from
Nikki
day,
Haley would probably be a
I
good
I was
choice.
saying Nikki Haley from
The
day
Republicans,
one.
the Republicans won her. You know, if they had been smart,
She's got delegates.
if they had been smart, they would have put her as the presumptive nominee. Because I want to tell you something, she could have very easily beat Biden in a presidential race. I mean, I'm not about Nikki Haley. I'm not about her politics. I'm simply making a statement.
Mhm.
And so I don't think they were too smart about it.
Well, the fact that though the abortion is on the ticket though now, it ain't gonna happen. But I always saw Nikki Haley. I said Nikki Haley from like a year ago that if Trump is not crossing the finish line, that she would have delegates and get in there.
The abortion thing is they're just pandering to the super ultra right wing. I mean, there are people, who are Democrats who don't believe in abortion. And I just, you know, I'm not fond of it either. And please don't send me a lot of emails and stuff. But I believe in the woman's right to choose.
So
And my belief in a woman's right to choose outweighs all the other stuff.
well, I mean, these people, and I don't want emails on this one either, but people that say the Bible, the Bible, the Bible. Well, and then they use Leviticus like shopping cart. In Leviticus, it says if a woman has an affair with a man and gets pregnant, they have to get rid of the baby.
And it also says if you have an affair with somebody, you have to be stoned and this and that. That is the old
Well,
that
most
is
people I know that are having affairs are stoned to have them.
that
But that's
is
another
that is
story.
Old Testament. So if they're going to take it verbatim, then bring all that in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? According to Christianity, when Christ came, the Old Testament went away and the New Testament kind of did away with all of that.
Love thy neighbor as they love thyself.
They don't get to quote the Old Testament stuff. If
Yeah.
you're going to be a Christian, then you go with what the New Testament says.
And if you've gone to Red Lobster, you're going to hell. So anyway, here's a good one from Sven Vanska. Hello from sizzling Berlin, Germany. Du bist wie eine Blume. Love you both. Will Trump be thrown in jail for real when he violates the gag order again?
I do see him being put in a cell. And I see him at some point even under house arrest. And if he keeps violating the gag order, the judge will even say he has to watch from a cell or a courtroom with a video camera so that he can't do what he's doing. You know, he says it's his right to free speech. Right to free speech does not give you the right to intimidate jurors or witnesses or do what he's doing. And the court can tell you, they have the right to tell you that you cannot uh talk
Right.
all kind of crap in order to try to influence the outcome of a case. The judge has warned him.
Right. And he said, and even the prosecution said, we don't want to take him to jail yet. Now, this morning they had four more. He already had $9,000 put against him. They had four more. Judge Merchan's going to, talk about that next week. But I do know that what I can pick up psychically and what I've read is that Merchan has already talked to the Secret Service.
Oh yeah, the secret I picked up cyclically from my guides that Secret Service
That they're going to
already
have to be
planning,
with him.
that the Secret Service is already planning if he goes to jail, they're going to be with him.
Yeah.
So I see this judge is not going to put up with any nonsense. He's going to
Mm-mm.
you keep breaking the gag order. I think Trump wants to go to jail so he can politicize that.
Oh yeah, they sent me to jail. Oh, and I did this for you, and the free speech and blah 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 blah
Oh
blah.
no, I did this for you. Send me money because I don't have money. And what'll happen if people send him money? He
Send
ain't
me
gonna
your
use it.
disability check. You can't afford it, but send me your disability check,
He's
please.
gonna use it for what he says. And I see the court coming in saying, if people are going to send you money, you cannot do that. You cannot have people send you money because you were in contempt of court. And they can either make him return the money or fine him, but the court's going to step in and say he can't do that.
That's kind of like the Son of Sam law, where you can't profit writing a book for a crime that you've committed.
Correct. Correct. That's exactly how I see it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm glad we're on the same page on that one.
All right.
Is it your turn or my turn?
Uh, okay, let me just touch on something real quick.
Sure.
Donna Hensley says, "Hi, Auntie Mel and Awesome Arthur. Do you see outside bad actors sent in to agitate the peaceful protests at colleges just like they did at BLM?" I don't know what BLM is, but Black Lives Matter. The
Yeah.
answer is yes, I do.
Mhm.
Okay, we've talked about that. I have a feeling it's Putin trying to make trouble for Biden. Yes, we've already
Yes, we
talked
talked
about
about that.
that.
Yeah.
However, Mike Johnson went to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. Then he started speaking out against college protesters and saying Biden should send in the National Guard. Well, if if Mike Johnson said that Biden should call in the National Guard, he better go back to political school because I don't think the president sends out the National Guard. The state governors do that.
Yes. And there's a little thing called Kent State, which I don't think they want to repeat.
I lived through that. I mean, I think it was in 1969 or
Mhm.
1970. I was in ninth grade, I think, and they opened fire on the protesters, and it was a massacre. And I was a child of the 60s and 70s. I believed in peaceful protest.
Mhm.
Peaceful protest. That's our right under the Constitution. And so when uh Preacher Johnson says the National Guard, I think the governors do that. And if
Yeah.
Biden brought in the military, oh my goodness, now Trump would. Trump wanted to bring in the military to kill the people, the Black Lives Matters people. And his generals and his people said no, because Trump was like, shoot them all.
Well, he wanted yeah, and during when they did the smoke out and got everybody cleared in Washington where he held his little Bible upside down, they said, "Can't we shoot them in the leg?"
Right, right. No. Okay. Seems to be a planned situation, violence. Absent in the guard, and they seem very overly vicious. Thank you. Um, you know, it can, if they do that, it can make matters worse. Let people have the right to peacefully protest, as long as they're not interfering on the rights of others or stepping on the rights of others. They don't have the right to, try to close down the school or destroy things. But I agree that there are agitators being brought
Oh
in,
yeah,
like, all right,
gang
go ahead.
names. Um, I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I'm just going to. The question is: so MTG, my tragic girlfriend, Little Clovenhoofs, says she
You
will
mean break
force.
the ball? You mean the one who the fashion police has issued a warrant for her?
Well, obviously, she has no gay friends the way she dresses.
Well,
So
thank you.
MTG says, or
Or
she
not
thinks
a gay
men make me look
hairstylist.
horrible.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I had to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's all right. I interrupt you all the time too. So, because we love each other, we can interrupt each other. So don't write us about it. So MTG says she will force a vote to oust Speaker Mike. If Dems vote to keep him, will Marge revert to underhanded methods like throwing open the doors to Mike's closet and dragging out a few skeletons? You
Well,
guys are together.
she can try to drag out skeletons on him, but I'm sure the people have a lot on her too. That goes both ways. She is going to try to make a move to get him. Uh,
Else. Well, I've said this many, many times that 10 minutes after his name was announced that he was going to be the speaker, I put up on my community page, end of May, out, scandals. I
well,
don't I don't see him lasting.
she's going to try to get him unseated,
Hmm.
but she's only got three people, her and two others, that'll go for it, and she might get a few more. But I think the House Republicans would say absolutely not. And a lot of them would side with the Dems. That I don't think at this point the Dems want him taken out, because even though they don't like him, they can still negotiate with him.
Yeah.
At least the one good thing that he did was allow
Ukraine.
Ukraine to get some money, which they sorely needed. I don't think there'd be enough votes to put Jeffries in right now. But at some point, much, much sooner than later, after the election, the Dems take over the House. I'm telling you, Jeffries will be the Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, the Marjorie Taylor Greens will make all kinds of motion till the cows come home to get him unseated. But guess what? It's like she's going to be walking headfirst into a hurricane. She's not going to get anywhere.
Can we just be a buzz?
She might
Uh,
have a lot of Republicans that would vote
Now,
with.
you heard about McCarthy. He did an interview recently where he was talking about why Matt Gaetz had him ousted. He said Matt Gaetz came to him and said there was an ethics committee after him, and could he like steer it the other way? And he said, you was a 17-year-old. It's against the law. And he wouldn't do it. And so that's why Matt Gaetz went after him.
Well, but
Now
that's
the
all.
ethics committee is still going after him.
Matt Gaetz is still not out of the woods, nor is
Oh,
Marjorie
no,
Taylor.
no, 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 not at all.
So, I'm thinking when Jeffries is speaker, Marjorie Taylor Greene will try her little shenanigans to get him unseated and all this, but it won't work. She might get some Republicans, but it won't work. I just see the Republican Party going through a tremendous transformation, uh, and more centered on individual rights, like they say they're supposed to be. And I see an end to this MAGA movement at some point. I really do.
Well, I mean, remember the Tea Party?
Well, that led to the MAGAs.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, now they're talking about in red states, it'll be okay if a woman is pregnant to follow how long her gestation period is being through her pregnancy. I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
this is
Oh,
just
right.
nuts.
That's not going to work.
No, it, and I can't believe MAGA women let this slide. They don't know what they're voting for. They don't know what's out there.
Well, at some point, they're not going to win. So,
Mm,
but I see a huge overhaul of the Republican Party for the better.
oh yeah.
Okay. Donna Hensley said Missouri has gotten enough signatures to put abortion on the ballot, but the legislators are trying to change the law to make it more difficult to change our state constitution. Will the voters be able to reinstate and codify Roe v. Wade? The answer is yes, because what they're going to do is get rid of those ultra right-wing MAGAs and vote people in, whether they're Republican or Democrat, that have some sense about letting women decide, make their own choice.
Right.
See what's going to happen with abortion. There's term limits on it.
I,
So the states are going to say, okay, after, let's say, maybe 12 weeks, 8 weeks, then you can't, you can't abort. But as far as these draconian laws, like trying to jail women, if it endangers their health, or if they're raped or incest and they go to another state, they come back, they can be arrested. That's not going to hold up. And some
no.
of those states will try to make use those women as an example, but at some point, cases like that are going to go to the Supreme Court, and that's what's going to reinstate Roe v. Wade. That's what I see. What do you think, Arthur?
Well, there's a lot going on underneath the surface here, but when you were reading that, like you get your light bulb, I'm getting Manny, Mo, and Jack yelling, the people win. The people win.
Okay, good. Absolutely. I
That's
see
like,
into this American apartheid, this small group of people, this tiny group, trying to force their beliefs down the rest of us' throat. It's right now, it seems as if they're winning, but they won't, you know.
mhm.
I'm all about individual rights, and I see a return to that.
Yeah. I mean, they're just so our way or the highway, or you're a heathen. But even the Christianity that they're preaching is not from the Bible I know, or what I was taught in school, in Catholic school, or whatever. It's just unheard of. Kathy P asks a question: will Senator Grassley of Iowa be elected for another term? He's been showing signs of senility, and it's to the point where we Iowans joke about days where he's forgotten his meds. Thank you. I know that I've done that. Thank you for all that you do.
Do. I'm sorry, what was the question again? I
Is
forgot the
Grassley going to be
question.
reelected?
I'm sorry.
Will Grassley of Iowa be reelected?
I don't think so.
I don't get it either.
I'll feel it. Okay.
So
Catherine,
long, farewell.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying so long, farewell. I'll be to saying goodbye.
Okay. Um, Aloha kakao pauloa. Mahalo for your fun yet highly calm insights. Thank you, Catherine. Oh, Paul. May I ask, Russians have been making inroads into more Ukraine territory as Ukraine hasn't received the jets and support system needed to really win. When will Ukraine get the much needed jet support systems and ammo to truly help them make the targeted defense and offense? Also, will Ukraine keep it to truly minimal collateral damage in Russia? Malamapono. Malamapono means please take care in the most sincere manner. It means to nurture yourself.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, Russia was making inroads in Ukraine, but I think within the next couple months, um, Ukraine's going to get a lot more of the weapons they need, and able to purchase more of the weapons they need to start pushing Russia back, and they will. The Ukrainians will not stop fighting. I'm
Mhm.
glad they got the aid, because if they wouldn't have, they could have very well lost that war. But they're not going to lose. My guides assure me that, and I see them purchasing aircraft and things like that, and so they're going to start using them. So
And at the end of the day, I've always seen Ukraine become part of NATO.
yes, absolutely.
But I was going last year, I was saying 18 months to 2 years. I'm still feeling within 2 years.
Well, I see, Ukraine getting Crimea back and a lot of the ports and territories that Putin took. Um, Putin is like, what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine. And if I want it, I can take it. You're not supposed to do anything, almost like Donald Trump. But he's not going to succeed in this. People in Russia are going to start protesting huge. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
all of
Yeah.
them. My guides tell me that anyway. All right, we got time for just about two more, right?
Donna D, do you see Scott Perry from Pennsylvania winning? He's part of the insurrection. I don't see him winning.
I don't either. I see Pennsylvania staying blue.
Hmm.
Um, or being blue. Okay, Kitan, I think. Oh, hey fellas, I was wondering what you are seeing in terms of workers and unionization efforts in the USA, especially with the recent win of a Volkswagen plant in the south of Tennessee. I saw an interview with the worker from there who basically said he changed his mind and was trashing Trump. Are workers' minds changing and going to go back to voting Democrat? The Dems used to be the party of the unions and the worker until recently. Do you see that coming back? Thank you for all you do. I enjoy watching both your channels. Well, the Dems, I think, still are pro-union.
I mean, Biden was the first president sitting on picket line with the unions.
Absolutely. So, you know, I see you. I don't know what the thing was in Tennessee. I don't-
Volkswagen fought to become part of a unionized, to unionize.
Oh, and they won, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so I do see a comeback of labor unions, but the labor unions are going to have to stop like taking employees' money and not
giving
working
anything in return.
and not working for the employee.
Yeah.
Uh, I remember growing up in the South, and my mother works in a textile mill, and it wasn't union, and the conditions were deplorable. And then unions came in and really cleaned up the textile mills. And so, unions in the day did a great job, and I see them starting to do an excellent job for their employees again. So, um, I see workers really starting to say, yeah, we want unions. We don't want to work for slave labor. We want to work 40 hours a week. We want to get overtime. We want to get duly paid for what we do.
Right.
That's what I see coming.
When I was in high school, one of my jobs, I was a checker at AMP,
Oh, I remember AMP.
Atlantic and Pacific, but this was before the scanners.
I never knew what AMP stood for. I never knew.
Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company.
Wow.
So I had to join the union. They had a strike. I was the last one in, first one out.
I remember the checker. They didn't have scanners. They had to press it in on a camera.
Oh, and the baby food was like, 35 cents. Gee, gee, gee. It was like nuts. But
They,
I liked, this is why I'm good at Tetris, because I was a really good bagger. People loved to get in my line because they'd always go home and say, I know where everything is. Thank you.
yeah, they
You
did
know,
paper bags. I always ask for paper bags. Still, they don't know how to bag. Uh, Trader Joe's does though. But
no, it's like there's the eggs, now the canned goods, now the
right,
bread, more canned
right.
goods. Yeah.
I just remember those cash register.
Oh my God. It was,
Yeah.
and I was the fast one. And they said, I remember the manager came up and said, you're so fast as how I said, because I'm a pianist. I practice 8 hours a day, so I should be able to use my fingers.
Okay. Lone Phantom says, is Biden going to find the spine to take drastic action against corrupt SCOTUS? Well, number one, Biden does have a spine. He's done more for this country than any president since 1963. I don't think he wants to rattle the cage yet because it's really good for him politically to say, here's what these Trump appointees did on the court. Once he's reelected, I see him adding more justices on the court, and I see the court coming back to center, like we talked about earlier.
Right. Well, he's also Scorpio, so he does a lot of things
You
unseen.
don't know about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He hasn't taken out a stinger yet, but when he does, look out.
Right. Um,
That's really about it. One last one would be, how is Peter Navarro doing? Not so well.
how's who?
Peter Navarro.
Oh, not very good. Thank you. Thank you.
You look good in stripes. So do I,
Right.
but different kind.
Okay, Voices from the Swamp. Hey, Sherry, Voices from the Swamp. She says, aloha to my two favorite gentlemen. Thanks, Sherry. That's really
Oh, she does it to everybody.
She's a sweetie. Okay, question. Do you see the attorney generals who signed on to Trump's Stop the Steal BS back in 2021 ever being held responsible for fraud, even though they knew it was all BS? Well, number one, I see them being held responsible, but you have to prove that they lied and they knew they lied.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's criminal, but yet if they used it to try to change the outcome of election, and if they knew it was BS, then there
Election
could be
interference.
some responsibility for that
Mm,
legal. Uh, but it's not going to bode well for them politically, that's for sure.
mm,
An
no,
attorney general should know better.
yeah,
So, anyway.
that's what I got.
Speaking of such, I see Paxson being in real trouble down in Texas.
Thank God.
All right, so next week we will be on your channel.
Hopefully live, as
Hopefully,
opposed to dead.
Um, I can set it up if you want. We can
No,
start,
I'm just teasing you. We can do it.
but anyway,
Okay.
and then you can ask your questions live. Anyway, all right. So Arthur, if they want
Yes.
to get a hold of you, how do they do it?
On YouTube, go to Arthur Ease Your Mind. On the web, it's www.arthur, ARTHUR, ease, EASE, your, YOUR, mind, MIND.com. ArthurEaseYourMind.com. And if you want to call me, it's 310-494-5955. However, if you call and say, I have a question, I'll say, make an appointment.
Me too.
How
Well,
about you?
Mel, I'm sorry,
We know your
meldor.com,
name. He knows his name. We're very happy. Yay.
meldor.com, meldor.com, 847-590-5411. And everybody hit that little bell down there because it'll let you know when we're going to do stuff. Also hit the subscribe button. You'll see like a little picture of my dog there. And if you hover over that, it'll say subscribe and you click, or there's a little subscribe button. Do the same with Arthur. He doesn't have a little dog down there. I think you got your signature down there, if I'm not
I,
mistaken.
for a while there, I had a magic 8 ball.
There you go.
No, it
Well,
just says subscribe.
thumbs up. Yay.
And
And
leave comment.
I'm taking membership. So you hit the join button and there's
So
different tiers of that. And so is Arthur. So having said all that, until next week, next Aloha Tuesday, which will be on Tuesday next week.
unless there's a tsunami of some sort or the gremlins get fed again by Mel.
If the rivers don't flood and the creeks don't rise, aloha.
I have fun with you, Mel. Thank you.
You're welcome. Me
Everybody
too.
else does.
All right.
All right.